the First Lady yesterday, just to reiterate, ripping of the Daily Beast, suggesting they've been lying about her, pointing out accurately she has sent legal threats to them, and they have responded by pulling down their testimonials about her. So clearly they don't stand by what Michael Wolff said. And here's more from the First Lady yesterday, calling for now congressional testimony from Epstein's victims. And keep in mind, this has been over. Like, the administration has been doing its level best to move on from Epstein, which clearly is what Trump has wanted for months now. Epstein, who's still talking about Epstein? Then he threatened Lauren Boebert. He threatened Nancy Mace. He threatened Thomas Massie. He threatened MTG when she was still back in Congress pushing for more disclosures on Epstein. Trump did not want any more coverage of Epstein. And Todd Blanche, who's now the acting AG, said, we're done disclosing. AG, DOJ, done disclosing on Epstein, kind of putting an unofficial period to the whole story. Now the First Lady of the United States comes out and demands more hearings. She wants the...
Now is the time for Congress to act. Epstein was not alone. Several prominent male executives resigned from their powerful positions after this matter became widely politicized. Of course, this doesn't amount to guilt, but we still must work openly and transparently to uncover the truth. I call on Congress to provide the women who have been victimized by Epstein with a public hearing specifically centered around the survivors. Give these victims their opportunity to testify under oath in front of Congress with the power of sworn testimony. Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, and then her testimony should be permanently entered into the congressional record. Then, and only then, we will have the truth.
What the hell just happened? Did you guys hear about this? I've got an article here from the New York Times that I can't freaking believe. Check this out. Oh, hold on a second. Something's happening. There's some sort of breaking news. Let me see if we could take this live. Sorry about that. I couldn't help myself. But seriously, what the hell was that? This is getting pretty good, isn't it? I mean, what the hell does this mean? Something big must be coming. Because why the hell would she do this? Now, I hear a lot of commentary out there that this is just another distraction, that this war is going so badly for Donald Trump that he's seen as such a fucking loser, as he is. This was a complete...
Folks, nothing says the White House is doing great like a surprise First Lady appearance to publicly explain that she was never on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. That is such a good sign. That is what nothing to see here looks like. Yeah, I found it deeply reassuring, because when a woman who is rarely seen, except in her own personal documentary, suddenly appears in the grand foyer to deliver a formal Epstein denial, that is obviously the sign of a relaxed, healthy family. I don't see panic. There is no way this is preemption. It's just standard White House housekeeping. Very normal. I mean, come on. Whenever I'm in a group setting, I like to say, while we're all here, I'd like to clarify I was never on the sex trafficker's plane. Doesn't everyone say that? And I really appreciated the detail. She didn't just say the rumors were false. No, she was very specific. I was never his friend. I was never on the plane. I was never on the island. He did not introduce me to Donald. I am not a witness. I am not a victim. My email with Ghislaine Maxwell was casual. Great detail. As for the email exchange, everyone needs to calm down. Emailing like this is just locker room, New York society talk. New Yorkers like to read out a complete legal menu of every allegation they are definitely not worried about. Folks, this is how trust is built. My favorite part was the organic pivot to congressional hearings for Epstein's victims. I really felt Melania's heart when she said survivors should get to tell their stories. She really cares. And of course, the timing is completely random. The war is a mess. The military story keeps getting uglier. It would be an ideal time for a distraction, but it's obviously just a coincidence. They're definitely not trying to get you to stop thinking about all the ways the regime has screwed America and the world. No, this is a brave woman being truthful. She saw our anxiety and thought, let's flood the zone. Let's soothe the nation with a solid denial. She was even sensitive enough not to try to explain why her husband was BFFs with the guy she definitely barely knew. That would have been beneath her. So thank you, Melania, for reminding us that watching our First Lady denying something in explicit detail before the next headline drops means we can all relax. Melania Trump was never on Epstein's plane. Praise be! Boy, I feel better. Well, Melania, I hope you're having the day you deserve.
So, I don't know what's going on with Epstein. And Melania, she's denying that she's not in Epstein. But all the evidence I'm seeing, maybe she was in Epstein. She even called the press conference denying that she wasn't in Epstein.
But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify. That's what the whole point of this endeavor is. So, of course, we're moving back to you. It is all about you. Attorney General Bondi, does a convicted sex offender like Ghislaine Maxwell deserve special treatment and privileges in prison? Yes or no?
Let me be crystal clear on this. No. And
Thank you.
let me keep going. No, let me keep going.
Perfect. Well, I
did not know she was being transferred.
I asked you yes or no.
She was not transferred to a lower
Mr. Chairman,
level.
please stop the clock and remind the witness of the rules. One rule she needs to understand
and I'm glad
here.
that we're agreeing. So when we're agreeing, we can move on to some other things.
When
But
we're
I
not
want you
agreeing,
to
we move
know that every time she does get these perks, and it's been publicly reported, that the folks she's abused, the survivors who are sitting here, they see themselves as being denied justice. Who ordered her to be transferred to the minimum security prison that she was ineligible for? Who signed off on the special privileges? Was it Mr. Blanche? Was it one of your other subordinates? So please, can you tell us who sent her there, since you don't agree she should be there?
I said I do not agree she should receive special treatment. She was transferred, I learned after the fact, to the same level facility, and that is a question for the Bureau of Prisons. I was not involved in that at all. The same level facility, I don't know why, but you know, instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison, you should be talking about Irina Zarutska.
I have a couple
who
of
died
other
on a
questions.
subway.
Right, and I absolutely...
You don't talk about that.
I have been talking about it and actually helping with these issues.
The First Lady came out last week and said she had no link to Jeffrey Epstein.
Who did?
The First Lady, Melania.
She had none.
Why did she come out and say that last week?
Because the fake news was saying she did, and she had none, and I think that's been proven. It bothered her that the fake news was being fake news. That's all. She just wanted to clarify.
What do I think Melania Trump was doing yesterday? Obviously, I don't know. What was she getting ahead of? I think, my opinion, she was calling bluff. That's what I think. And a really good person to follow who's been covering Epstein and all of this stuff, who knows the ins and outs, everything, is House and Habit. I haven't seen her comment at all on what Melania said yet, which is pretty wild for her because she's been covering politics a lot too. So I'm kind of waiting to see her take on it and what she says, but that's what I think is going on. I mean, there have been rumors forever, and now people are saying that he introduced her and Trump. So I think she's saying what she needs to say, and she's calling bluff. She's like, okay, then you have a chance to say it under oath. We want justice for everyone. That's not happening. And you also have to remember, if these things were true, if Democrats had anything incriminating on Donald Trump. Don't you think they would have done everything in their power to do that? They tried every angle possible to incriminate him of whatever they could possibly come up with. So yeah, I think it's along those lines, but I am interested to hear House and Habit's perspective because she's pretty knowledgeable and has been for some time.
Well, it was my life. So people will see it transitioning from the private citizen to being a first lady again. The schedule was very intense. They followed me from morning till evening, and you will see what I have to do and what I did from planning the inauguration to running my business, philanthropy, taking care of the family, moving to the White House, meeting with security detail, establishing the East Wing and hiring the people that they need to work for me, but also they work for the American people.
At the time when the movie came out, that what the movie reveals, I think unwittingly, is that she and Donald Trump do not really behave with any intimacy whatsoever. So she makes it very clear that they meet to go to events together, that at the end of the inauguration day, they very clearly go their separate ways, which might be the one day that you would think a president and his wife, the new first lady or second time first lady, would actually go to bed together, if only to discuss the day and lie in bed. I'm not saying they have to have, Cosmo level sex, but just the intimacy of, can you believe it? I can't believe you've done it again. Bravo. But very clearly they go off in separate directions.
Did you say cosmic level sex or Cosmo as in your former magazine?
Well, I was actually meaning Cosmo level sex in my former job as the editor of Cosmo. I would like to remind people that I was also the New York bureau chief of The Guardian and The London Times. So I've had a news career in terms of, I haven't just edited Cosmo, which was a great women's empowerment magazine, actually.
And let me remind everyone that I was responsible for hiring Joanna at New York Magazine.
You were, to which I am extremely grateful still, because I definitely didn't want to go back to the UK, and I'm very glad that I made the leap into the American market. Anyway, much more exciting, the idea that Melania is somehow now a liability, and she's gone from being an elegant, essentially silent doll who turns up when she needs to, and barely then, frankly, but she's gone from being, as you used the word about her, and I've always thought it's the best word, unknowable, to somehow letting the light in. And it's not great because, as you say, people at the White House are saying, well, she's making it obvious that something's not right here. This is not as usual first marriages, and it's asking more questions. And also, Trump feels sort of beholden to respond to her. So 2 weeks ago, when she made the very strange Epstein statement, he was like, well, I'm not sure I would have done it. I didn't know about it, backing away from it. And then here he came in and piled on top of Kimmel with her saying, yes, we should ban his show. But we've been down this route before. Kimmel was suspended, then he was put back. We have new management now we have a new CEO in Josh D'Amaro instead of Bob Iger at Disney. But I can't believe that they want to go down this road again of suspending Kimmel or doing anything actually other than letting it play out.
Let's look at this as Melania as part of a global problem with the Trump White House, that everything is unpopular, that Donald Trump is unpopular, ICE is unpopular, the war is unpopular, the economy is unpopular. He's at the lowest level he has been in his approval ratings. They are looking, and I just noticed the New York Times just dropped the story that the House is it's a foregone conclusion that that the Republicans will lose the House in November, and now the Senate is very much in play. So everything is going wrong, and when that tends to happen in a White House and in politics, it takes everything with them. So Melania is just, to some extent, I think she's just collateral damage. You look at everything here and you begin to say, what's going on? And Melania certainly lets you ask that question.
Yeah, and the one thing that the war had done for Donald Trump was to draw attention away from Epstein. And what did she do? She drew it right back to it. And also the way she suggested that Congress talk to the victims, investigate the victims, suggested that she knew there was something at the center of it. And the way she separated herself from her husband implied that, well, certainly implied directly that she wanted nothing to do with him in this Epstein battle. I mean, it's really an incredible development.
I said to the person I was speaking to this morning in the White House, I said, so what you're saying is that she's a wild card, or she's become a wild card. And this person said, well, I didn't say it, but you said it. So I think we can assume, yes.
It's also slightly thrown into relief somewhat by Charles and Camilla being in town too. Obviously, King Charles III's visit with Camilla, because whatever else they do or don't have in common with Donald and Melania, they do have a love story, as far as we know. I mean, of course, you never quite know looking into someone else's relationship. And the royals certainly have had their own methodology. They have their own sets of marriages. But Camilla and Charles is genuinely a long relationship that appears to be a real relationship.
Then you heard about Amanda Ngaro saying, maybe she was there, what? So that's Zampori's story. I don't know. Well, I'm tired of this. Tired of waiting for the Epstein files. Anyway, tell me what you think down in the comments. Comment about my suit. How is my suit today? See you in the next video.
Who else is sticking up for us? What else is being done? Pam Bondi, couldn't even look at us. Todd Blanche is saying, there's no files here. There's nothing to look at, nothing to investigate. Nothing has worked for the last 9 months. This is the first person that I see that has some real power that's saying, here's a new idea.
Lisa, you were in your early 20s when you first met Jeffrey Epstein, endured years of abuse from him and others in his network. When you saw Melania Trump saying, I'm not a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, how did you feel?
Well, it's obvious if she says she wasn't a victim, maybe she wasn't a victim. I think the point of it was two things for her, was her trying to let the public know that you've got it all wrong about me. Separating myself from my husband, who's the president, look at the facts. And she wasn't deposed for anything. There's nothing legal against her. I just think people need to separate the woman, the wife, from the husband. I think that's really important.
What do you make of her calls for there to be a survivor-centred congressional hearing? Because other survivors of Jeffrey Epstein have said today that they don't want that they feel like she is putting the onus on them to testify and making them a convenient escape route.
I don't really know if that's true or not, and I understand what my survivor sisters are saying, but what I look at is the bigger picture. I would say I call her bluff and be like, okay, show us what you can do. What's next?
Would you like Melania Trump to get in touch with you, to get in touch with other survivors, and to find out your feelings and your thoughts about what would be the next step on the road to justice here?
Yeah, wouldn't that be the next step for her? Why would you make a statement like that and then not do anything? I'm just always like an optimist, first of all, but also like, what are you going to do? How can you make a statement like that without first saying, okay, I'm here for you, have the survivors reach out?
You felt that she was there in support of the survivors, as well as you say, clearing her own name.
That's what she portrayed. Yeah, so I would think if you're going to stand by what you said, take the next step. What can we do to work together to, if you want to see justice or accountability, and so do all the survivors and the American people, what's the next step there?
Do you have any thoughts on the timing of this statement? Why she chose now when, it's not the number one issue agenda, on the news and in public discourse?
Well, we probably won't find that out for a couple more days or weeks, but I'm sure there's a reason why. I think everyone takes their time. I think everyone has a boiling point. And it makes sense to me why she wouldn't have spoken out earlier. But there's a lot that has happened in the last 9 months.
Melania is a joke.
The lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation.
And he most certainly is one as well.
And I didn't want to say this, but this is why we have to have all of the attributes of what we're planning at the White House. It's actually a larger room, and it's much more secure. It's drone proof, it's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom. That's why Secret Service, that's why the military are demanding it. They've wanted the ballroom for 150 years for lots of different reasons, but today's a little bit different because today we need levels of security that probably nobody's ever seen before.
The ballroom must never, ever be built. Donald Trump knocked down the White House. He tore down the East Wing, and it was not his to tear down. It's the people's house, and it's his honor to live there for a time, and then he leaves. Look what he's done to the Oval Office. Outside, the walkway between the residence and the Oval Office. All of it's coming down. And what should sit there for the next 3 years is this pit. It should be a symbol of his disgusting presidency. It's a symbol of his incompetence, his lack of planning, an open-air memorial to his Iran war.
And when it's over, and it will end, when it's over, they want it to be over immediately, and I just looked at a little chart. World War I, 4 years and 3 months. World War II, 6 years. Korean War, 3 years. Vietnam, 19 years. Iraq, 8 years. I'm 5 months, okay? 5 months. I would have won Vietnam very quickly. I would have, if I were president, I would have won Iraq in the same amount of time we won, because essentially we've won here, okay? I mean, people can play games. The Democrats can say, well, we should have done better, no matter what. If I did it in 1 week, they'd say, we should have done better. Look at Venezuela. I took it over in 45 minutes. It was basically a 45-minute. And by the way, a very strong military country. And we took it over in a day, but let's be nice. But we basically took it over in 45 minutes. We took it over during the attack in 45 minutes.
But Mr. President,
and they would say, I'm surprised they haven't said it, that you should have done it in 30 minutes. It took too long.
The next president should be deeply committed to the project of restoring and rebuilding the White House to its exact dimensions before Caligula and his mistress tore it all down.
White House, and to the surprise of many on her staff and on the White House staff, called for public hearings with Jeffrey Epstein's victims in the halls of Congress and denied having any connection with Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell beyond the purely social. We've all seen the photos of Donald Trump, Melania Trump, Epstein, and Maxwell together, and many folks have seen the email that Melania Trump sent to Ghislaine Maxwell back in 2002 that came out during the Epstein files. But Melania Trump has been reportedly very angry about coverage that has suggested that perhaps it was Epstein who introduced her to the president, or that she was somehow an Epstein victim, or in any way connected to this beyond just the pure social overlap between Palm Beach and New York. And now, as we stand here in mid-April, she has breathed new life into a story that had been essentially dead here at the White House. No word yet from the president.
Maybe the most relatable thing Trump has ever said. Trump says that autocorrect messes up Melania's name in posts, and he needs that fixed, and he's going to the military. Now, most of us don't have the ability to go to the military when we want autocorrect fixed. I don't know why we would even need the military for that. I think it's tech companies. But this is actually maybe Trump's most relatable moment. Take a look at this.
And, I love the name Melody because for a long time, they have spell correct and word correct on these crazy machines that we use to put out truths, or they used to be called tweets. And every time I wrote Melania, it would correct to Melody. So I'd do things, and I work very fast, blah, 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 and I talk about it, and I say, and Melania is fantastic, and happy Mother's Day, Melania, our great First Lady, Melania, but it would spell correct and word correct to Melody. And sometimes I wouldn't proofread it, and I'd say, and I would get just absolute decimated. These people would decimate. They said he didn't know the name of his wife. He keeps calling her. And I said, what the hell is wrong with this machine? I didn't know about that little feature, but I got that corrected eventually. You know who corrected? The military. I said, come here, you got to correct this. You're killing me. I took more abuse. She's been called Melody a lot. Anyway.
Yeah, I actually imagine Trump with those huge fingers trying to tap out Melania, and it just gets auto-corrected. And it goes, I don't even know what it auto-corrects to, but certainly not Melania. Trump's maybe most relatable moment ever. You know, most of Trump's rants expose how disconnected and indifferent he is to the average person's struggles.
Trump herself, I feel like this is how crazy the week is. How many of you forgot the Melania Epstein speech? Everybody listening right now, get in the comments and write, I forgot the Melania Epstein speech already. Because that's how fast shit is moving. The First Lady of the United States called a press conference out of fucking nowhere. Out of nowhere. She showed up and she just went, I have never been friends with Jeffrey Epstein. I have never. My email to Ghislaine was just. It was just an email. It was just. And by the way, that is just how she sounds. That's how she sounds. Is she Slovakian or is she Czech? I can't remember. When I was a boy, they were one country, so I can't ever remember if she was from the Czech Republic. or
Trump would say one of the good ones.
Yeah, that's exactly what she would say. No. She said that she's not Epstein's victim. She denied that Epstein introduced her to Donald Trump, which is crazy because that then opened up so many new avenues for people to start doing some Wikipedia hyperlink clicks on. Because
if just really quick, if you come out of nowhere and you're like, I didn't fuck that horse, people would be like, why are you feeling like we all needed to see this and for you to say this?
Yes, it's the very famous tweet of the my I'm not a human trafficker shirt is only creating more questions than it's answering.
Well, I think tonight Melania Trump made something pretty damn clear about the Epstein files. She came out and talked directly to the camera about the narrative. She wasn't panicking, scrambling, or anything like that. Because, folks, the reality of it is she's confident. The reality that everybody's skipping over is that Trump's not done anything wrong. He was never charged. He was never implicated in any crimes. I mean, he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago, something that we never talk about. Instead of that, we get old photos, social circles, this surface-level bullshit that probably ran across the New York social circles in the 90s. But the only name that keeps coming up, dragged back in the headlines outside of Epstein, is Trump. It's not random. It's targeted. And unfortunately, Melania Trump, who's a very classy lady, has to deal with this bullshit. Why? Because it works politically. It affects them. And, well, at least it's supposed to. But Melania's response isn't just defense, folks. It's a signal. I don't think they're playing around anymore with this framing. Melania's calling it what it is. Recycled hit. And at some point, we have to ask ourselves, if there was something real, okay, why hasn't it shown up? You don't think the Democrats would have called this out if there was something? Of course they would. It's fake news.
Hello and good morning. First of all, I want y'all to know I literally am just coming out of the bed, right? That's it. In today's episode of As the White Hood Turns, why are we now finding out that there is a book being released early next week in Britain? And Michael Wolff, you know, the dude that she was suing for $1 billion, and he said, I want to see you do it. Please sue me. Did an interview where he said that Prince Andrew and Jeff were discussing the fact that they had both, you know, Melania, and that Jeff gave her to see it. What? I can't take it. And the reason why I can't take it is, girl, if you did what you had to do to make your living, okay. Right? Do what you got to do, working 9 to 5, 5 to 9. I don't know, but girl. Whew. Okay. Now you got Sid over here posting pictures of murder because there are leaks at the White Hood that said he was unaware that she was going to go out there and make this statement. I'm so confused. Y'all, listen. I took off today just so I could rest, do a little cleaning, do my laundry. And I'm already tired. I gotta go back to bed. I don't know. I gotta go back to bed. But anyway, so we about to find out. And I don't know, because, you know, we all said that he went to war to distract from the files. And now she done brought the files back up. I'm nervous, y'all. I'm nervous because what is he gonna do? But I have been enjoying them little Lego videos. They're real catchy. Okay, well, I'm gonna drink my coffee and hope in between the time it takes me to drink my coffee and eat this donut, ain't nothing else happen. Okay, I'll talk to y'all a little bit later. Okay, bye.
Congress, please release the Epstein files, because everyone is denying. Are you in Epstein file? No. I was a friend with Geoffrey. Everyone is denying. Some are saying that we don't know Geoffrey, but in the pictures I'm seeing, they were with Geoffrey. Anyway, tell me what you think down in the comments.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.